brutal music needs to feel lo-fi. Even if it sounds hi-fi, it needs to feel lo-fi. It needs to have that grit, a bit of dirt.
Wheels of fire, burn like fire across the sky.
And you turned shit into gold, man.
This is a bit weird. It's a bit strange, isn't it? Yeah.
Today we have William Blackmon, the drummer of Gadget, the sound technician, living in Gävle, Sweden, father of two. He brew his own beer. He's probably a lot more. Let's find out. How would you describe yourself, William?
All of that stuff. Yes. Basically. I got into music and audio quite early, and yeah, that's what I do. I'm one of those guys.
Yeah. For how long have you had the studio that you're in right now?
The studio since 2001, basically. I started as an intern. That was for 1 year, and then I left, and I think I came back, and then I was hired because the bloke that had the job before me, he quit in 2003. And I was hired. I got the job, and I stayed for a long time, like way too long, really. But sort of gradually, because I was doing lots of different things for the company who ran the studio then. So it was running the studio, doing the live sound, sometimes working in the cafe, making posters for gigs, and sometimes baking bread, I mean, anything. And I got a bit sort of fed up because it was more and more other things than studio work. So I started to get a bit fed up with it, and I got the chance to swap a couple of years ago. So now I'm at the theatre half time. This solution I have now is I work half time at the theatre as a stage manager, and then half time I run this for my own company. So I only do this, but working half time is difficult. Because it obviously it's going to be, you can't work 50%, it's like 150% both jobs, so 300%.
And 100% father as well.
Yeah, on top of that, a 6-year-old and a newborn, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thanks, it's brilliant.
I remember
That's
when
great.
you just got your first kid, because we were recording maybe like the year after or the year after that, something like that, with the Arson project in this studio.
Yes.
Yeah. And the name of the studio, it's Studio Overlook, right?
Well, the Overlook, to be precise, it's the Overlook.
Yeah.
But people say Overlook Studio all the time, so that's fine. But it's the Overlook.
Yeah.
That was my. We had like because it used to be called Loftet, which means like, well, up in the attic.
Yeah.
And we had to, because when I got the internship, it was part of the thing was they were going to sort of rebrand the studio and make it into a proper studio. So before that, it was like all the bands that practice in this house could go in and record themselves whenever they wanted. It was like you just borrow the key, go in and do it. And lots of microphones got nicked, and it didn't sound any good. Nothing that came out sounded any good. So they wanted to do it up a bit. They put some money into it and bought this quite big console, 48-channel soundtracks console, and a 2-inch tape machine and some outboard. So I got the internship just when that was happening, and we sort of soldered everything together and installed it. And I just came up with the idea of, because we were going back and forth what we're going to name the studio, and I just watched The Shining, and it's one of my favourite horror movies. And we had a song about that film, and I just thought, well, the Overlook is perfect for a studio, and it's kind of goes with the same theme as being very high up in the house.
This is the attic of old church, right?
Yeah, it's a Siemens church from late 1800s. So it used to be a church for all the sailors that came into town, and it's a beautiful structure. You know what it looks like. It's lovely.
I remember like walking up the stairs and
the stairs are a nightmare. absolute nightmare. And like every band that comes in with a backline is they start the first day one is break your back. Knackered. That's it. We can't do anything else today. We're just gonna. Yeah.
Where's the elevator?
Exactly. They've been talking about installing a lift since I came in 2001. They've been talking about doing it, but it just never happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you moved to Sweden in 2001, or was it earlier?
No, I grew up in Sweden.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I grew up in Sweden, right here in Gävle. And then, because my dad's from England, and most of my family and my relatives are in England, we've got a really small family in Sweden.
All right.
So my cousins and aunties and uncles and all that is in England. But then I moved to England with my girlfriend in 2011, I think. So we did live there for a year, and then we came back in 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you prefer Sweden over England?
No. I wish I could have, because I've got, when we went back to Sweden, we were going back and forth then as well. Like, are we going to stay or are we going to go back? And what sort of tipped it over to going back to Sweden was that I had the job in Sweden, and it was it still is really hard financially in England. Finding work and money-wise is easier here, and especially now when you have kids. Having kids in Sweden is good.
Yeah.
That's when my parents moved back to Sweden, it's because they were going to have kids, and at least my mother didn't want to have kids in England because it didn't have the same support.
You wouldn't have those shiny teeth if you lived in England.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Free tooth care for children up to what is it 20, 21?
Yeah.
Something like that.
I drink lots of tea, so I'm getting a bit of the colour that's coming on.
I'm always using the snus, the tobacco.
Oh, bloody hell!
Yeah, god damn it! Can you give me one?
I wish I could, mate. Wish I could.
I'll be back in 10 seconds.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I wish we could live in England. We still talk about moving back, but it's just down to the fact that it's going to be. It was difficult when we lived there, 2011. Just getting into the system, all the things that we take for granted here. It's like I have a credit history here. Getting a loan and a job is easier. Getting a house, we can buy a house in Sweden. We couldn't do that in England. And the prices are crazy. Where we want to live as well, the house prices are nuts. So, are
you taking your bands in perspective when you decided to stay in Sweden as well?
Not really. I mean, I love my bands, but no, I think something like that, moving to another country or living in a whole other country, would be a bigger decision than the bands, I think. So I'll probably, if we were going to move, I would sort of get another band or stop playing music. Probably stop playing music, taking I'm so old.
How old are you?
40. 41.
41? Yeah?
Yes.
Old.
Yeah.
God damn
I mean,
it.
I hardly have a band in Sweden because we don't really practice and we don't do anything unless we actually do something, which is once every. Well, now it's going to be in a couple of years, I think.
Yeah, but you are the drummer of Gadget, the mighty Gadget on Relapse Records, and also Stuka Party on Hammerheart Records, right?
Yeah.
And
yes.
And Stuka Party is a two-man project with it's a bass and drum. It sounds like a house disco kind of thing, but it sure is not.
Yeah, drum and bass. Well, yeah, it's like a Stuka Party. It's like the one thing I've done in my life, which I'm really proud of. Like that album, I'm really proud of that record. but also it's really like a project. It's not like a band. We would never say we would stop playing. It's very much alive and kicking in our hearts, and we have lots of ideas and projects and things that we want to do with the band, and we both believe it will happen. It's like a bit of a mirage, an illusion. I don't know if we're going to do another album or not, but we definitely want to. And we've played live 3 times, I think, 4 times.
Yeah.
So it's not a real band in that sense. It's just like a project thing. But I love it. Yeah.
I've seen you live one time, and
you played with us. You did a solo.
Can we call it that?
Yeah, it was a solo in the spirit of whatever it is we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, in the
Grindcore
Czech
fusion. Yeah, Flufffest.
Yeah, Flufffest in Czech. That was an awesome year.
That was great. Back in the days, yeah.
It seems so distant, doesn't it?
It's crazy, yeah, when you think back. And even thinking that they actually paid us money to fly down to Czech Republic and play at a festival. I thought it was a spam. When I got the email, like, no, this isn't real. This is somebody's pulling my leg. It's not. Someone's having a laugh. And I had to write him back and said, no, I think it's actually on. I think he wants to book us. He wants to pay for the tickets. And I looked up the prices for flying down. I thought, well, he's not going to pay this. This is going to be off. It's not going to happen. And then I said, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, being a 2-man band, it's easier to travel.
Right. What inspired you to create the project, the band, or whatever you want to call it?
I think it's both me and Pelle. Pelle is like my best friend. If we have those now, and we're so old, but he's one of my best buddies here in Gävle, and he's also very much into the Second World War. So I think it just started from that. We both started talking about, and I wanted to have something like a different project, something different. I don't know why, but we just started playing together, and I think when we wrote the album, we had some of the songs when we started writing, but it was like, we did a practice session and we said we're going to write one song every practice session. It's going to be one new song and we're going to record it, and that really worked. So we did a few sessions, and we that sort of, it wasn't the finished song, but it was the start of a song, and then we could, in the studio, we just made it. Yeah.
And when you say that Pelle's interest was World War II, people may think that you sound like Marduk, but this is nothing like Marduk at all.
No. Definitely not. And it's more like I don't know, it's like a bit of a romance to the 40s in general, and I don't know, I love going to sort of air shows in England and all these festivals they have on there. I think it's great. It's just sprung out of that, and especially the sort of the we used to go to Duxford and watch the Spitfires and the Hurricanes and all the aircraft. I'm like an old man, you know. It just gets me going, and just the sound of those Merlin engines, it's fantastic. I love it. Yeah. So we might have to add that it's bass and drums and lots of samples. And Pelle, the bass player, he's not really into metal. He's played in a few metal bands, but he's really like a jazz fusion bass player. So that collision makes it really interesting.
For people listening, this is intense drumming, pretty technical. It's distorted bass with it's just a landscape of sounds, and you can find it on
samples.
Lots of samples, and you can find it on Spotify, right? And,
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know where it is. I don't think it's. I have Apple Music, and I don't think it's on Apple Music. I'm not sure if it's out there.
You will find a gig online from a bar in 2014 online. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few. I got some YouTube videos up.
It's not a lot of 2-man projects out there. We have some in the grindcore scene, of course. We have Magruder the Grind, we have PLF, and this crazy project, of course. It's a really cool concept, and it's awesome what you can do with only.
Yeah, I think the challenge is to not make it too boring in the long run. It's cool. I mean, there's one-man grindcore bands out there. Isn't there? There's quite a few. I think Luke from Doomstar, didn't he book a tour with 7 bands, and it was just one-man bands, or maybe not 7, but it was like a van full of bands, and it was just one bloke in every band. So it was a van packed with bands.
I didn't know that, but that's brilliant. Awesome. Yeah.
Really cool thing, yeah.
Yeah. You get 7 bands for the price of 3.
Yeah.
What a deal. That's fucking awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate that when we are playing with Birdflesh, that we are only 3 persons, because the step from being 3 to 4 to more, even from 3 to 4 is huge actually, with like chemistry, morning routines, how people are the day after, carrying luggage, bringing something to the table. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, definitely. I don't think I'd like to play in a 5-people band, 5-person band. Yeah, I mean 5 blokes. That's just another seat. I think the tour van is pretty packed as it is. That's another person's luggage you're gonna have to stow in there.
But Gadget is 4 persons, right?
Yeah, but Emil, the singer, has just quit. Well, it was a while ago.
Yeah, I
he's
read
quit.
about
So
that.
we haven't got a singer at the moment. No.
So what's the plan?
Difficult. I don't know. We're gonna take it really easy and wait and see what we're gonna do. But it's that thing. It's difficult when you've been playing for so long, because we started playing in 1999.
Yeah.
So we've been playing together for such a long time. It's difficult to get somebody new in the band. There's so many things that need to work, We have kids as well, and Frederick, the old guy, his kids are teenagers now, so he's sort of back to normal. But me and Richard have got young kids, so we're not sort of very active. But I think it might be easier if we were very active, because then we could find somebody who was really into it. Or but now we need to find somebody who's on the same sort of frequency, whatever you want. Yeah.
And Gadget started in 1999. You released your first full length in 2004. It was Remote. Did you record that album yourself, or
no? Remote was tracked in Gothenburg, in was it Fat Planet or Flat? Yeah, Fat Planet. It was a studio started by Anders Fridén from In Flames, together with a guy called Fredrik Reinedal, and it was running for. I don't think it's definitely not there anymore. I don't know how long it was there.
All right.
But so we tracked it there, and he mixed it, and it was mastered. Göran Finnberg. I'm not sure. Is it Göran Finnberg?
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
He's an old guy, really good at mastering. That's the one we didn't do here ourselves.
Yeah. So the next album?
Yes, I did that one here. Yeah.
Yeah, the Funeral March.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was many years after. That must have been.
You better look it up. I was going to say 2006, but maybe not.
It is.
So 2 years. Okay. Yeah. You think that's a long time?
Not really.
Well, it probably is. Really, for normal bands, it's probably a long time, but for us, that's quite soon. Yeah, it's quite quick.
Yeah.
Because then it was, nothing happened for a very long time.
Yeah, exactly. That was actually the way that I was referring to. I just fucked it up.
My mistake.
So 2006, and you recorded it and mixed and mastered it yourself?
Not mastered. That one was Scott Hull.
From Pig Destroyer?
So, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
But I don't know. It's like doing it yourself. I couldn't do it any other way. I'm a bit of a control freak when it comes to these things. So after the first recording, the first album, I hated it. And then I will have to do it here by ourselves. And that's what we've done since. But it's also really challenging. It's really difficult. Producing yourself is hard, and engineering and playing is hard. And it's hard when you haven't got... You need a deadline, and you need to sort of plan it well. I've learned the hard way. Because you can spend... If you've got infinite amount of time you can spend on it, that's what you're going to do, innit? Yeah.
I had a talk with Matt Harvey from Exhumed a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about bringing something to the table. You bring something to the table in the band, except for being a drummer. You are the sound technician. Yeah, you are the
Right.
you're the man behind the recording, the mixing and mastering on the new album. Or the newest album. It's already been 4 years. God damn it! The great destroyer. Yeah. Also released on Relapse. For people listening, check it out. Massive album. Tell me about the process. Tell me about.
Well, I was gonna say, when we did the Funeral March, it was a bit more chaotic because I was still learning a lot. And I don't think I was as good of a drummer as I should have been. So it was a challenge doing the drums. Engineering and producing and playing is hard. So, and I didn't want to do that the next time. So I guess it also comes from being older and wiser, hopefully. So we did a lot more pre-production and practice. For me, practicing the songs to the click track with the guitars in the headphones before we go into the studio, so I'm prepared, and I've got the same monitoring in the practice room as I have when I go into the studio. So yeah, but it's just like we spent a couple of 2-3 days not doing, because I've got the luxury of having my own studio. I don't have to rent a studio and then get something done constantly to get value for the money. I can do 4 hours. Maybe playing for 1 or 2 hours. As soon as I start to feel knackered, I'll go home and we'll pick up the day after. So we just basically did lots of takes on all the songs. After that, I would go through all the takes and find the best bits that I like this one, I'll do that chorus there, and pick out the bits that I like. And then, most of the songs were kind of finished, as I remember it, when we started recording. But there's always things, and I think that's the great thing when you go into the studio, if not everything is absolutely ready, because then it gives something a bit more inspirational. Something is happening right there. You put the finishing touch on some of the songs. So some of it is made in, because it's always going to be different when you hear it in the studio and you've got everything on there. Than from like in the practice room, you won't have all the details. Yeah. So yeah. I think on the Funeral March, I think we wrote one of the songs in the studio, and some of it, 1 or 2 was kind of loose ideas that we put together in the studio. And for the Great Destroyer, it was a bit like that as well, but most of it was pretty solid. Apart from one of the outros. So, yeah.
I'm just sitting here and laughing because in perspective, Birdflesh, we rehearse the songs one time and we haven't heard them before. We don't even do the lyrics, and then we go and record the drums. And
well, you're professionals. That's what you get when you're a professional.
we record the rest of the shit at my place, and then we send it to you.
Yeah, it's great.
You turn shit into gold, man.
Well, I just think you got it all. It's all in there. There's nothing to do. It's like you've got solid takes. It's great.
Yeah,
that's what it's supposed to be like. It's not supposed to be sitting in the studio for 5 months trying everything out, and yeah. That's cool.
I guess a pretty punk way to do it. And,
yeah.
And I guess that's a part of being a grime band in some way. I don't know.
Yeah. But who writes the songs?
50-50.
Okay. Okay. That's why it's 150%. Perfect. It's great.
No, but I guess Adde writes like half of the music, and me and Jocke writes 25% each. But Jocke does the most of the lyrics.
Okay.
Yeah, and but we all like discuss about like how to phrase
Yeah.
certain lines and.
Push more! Push more!
But we all like discuss about like how to phrase
Yeah.
certain lines and what solos should sound like, and what synthesizers we should use if we want the black metal feeling, or you know
Yeah.
exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so you get ideas and then you pitch them, and then
Yeah.
it becomes a song. But do you write the songs in the practice room, or do you
No.
write riffs? No, you write riffs at home and make a song at home, and you.
Yeah,
Sound
we have a rehearsal group on Facebook, so we just upload some riffs or like songs played on acoustic guitars, and we are like
Okay.
humming some lyrics, and we just having a laugh, and you know.
Det här drömde jag fram. Skitbra.
Tjena Jocke, du, Anal Misery, hur fan går den så?
Wheels of fire, burning like right across the sky.
Our problem is that I used to write the songs on my portable, like cassette portable studio thing. And
Yeah.
then later on it was the computer. But I used to write songs and then track the drums in the practice room and then write the guitars, and it was pretty much finished, and then we would sort of play it together. But then I stopped playing guitar because I didn't have time. It's just the guitar sort of fell out of my life. So I stopped writing songs, and then it all fell on Rickard and Frederick. And that's where it started to get difficult to produce music, because we didn't have a system where we would like you have a work ethic, or a whatever you want to call it, a method. It's like a. So for us now, it's slow. It takes a long time to write songs because we're not very
Yeah.
productive. I still dream about sort of picking up the guitar again and start writing songs. And I still talk about it like it's going to happen, but my bandmates sort of give me that look every time I mention it. It's, okay, let me know how that goes. Yeah.
Do you still enjoy each other's company when you like meet up? Do you only play music together, or do you go out for a beer, or like invite each other to dinners and stuff like this?
We've never been that sort of band that hang out together. I mean,
Okay.
we love each other. We've been in a band for so long, and we're best buddies in that sense. But we've never been the kind of guys that sort of the best friends hang out, even when we're not playing. It's been like when we go out and play or when we practice, yeah, we're very tight. But yeah, I think that's probably part of it as well, why we don't. So now we hardly see each other because of the bloody corona and not playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen an increase in bands that want to record music and now during the Corona period, or?
I don't know. I mean, I've it's been full on this year. I've had lots to do, but not at the theatre. Obviously, the theatre was shut down. When 2020 started, it was my calendar was packed. It was every weekend for all of spring, all the way into the summer, and I was worried about the studio jobs, how I was going to manage doing that. And then COVID came, and we shut down. There was nothing on at the theatre, so it became like a normal job. You went in to do service on things, and maintenance work while waiting for the productions to come on again. But I've been fully lots on here in the studio, lots to do. So it's been busy. Yeah, I don't know if it's more because of COVID or if it's just a good year. I don't know.
The typical bands that that choose your studio for recording, it's more extreme bands, right? It's like
I would say the bands that I mix and master, because it's mostly mix and mastering now. And those bands are like 90% is in the extreme sort of hard metal, grind punk genre. But then for the recording, it's very different. I don't do a lot of recording anymore. Over the years, it's just become less and less tracking. But if it's a bigger project, then it's definitely hardcore or punk or something kind of extreme. But most of the sessions I do would be like a weekend tracking and then mixing it and mastering it here, and that could be anything. Really, yeah. So local bands from Stockholm, from around here.
Yeah. You have a long list of bands. I know that the Victims, This Gift Is a Curse, Horse Nations from France, check it out, and Passive Dödshjälp, and even more commercial bands, but still extreme in a kind of sense, like Scar Symmetry.
Yeah, I've been engineering a bit for Per Nilsson, the guitarist he plays with Meshuggah now as well.
Oh shit!
Yeah, he's the stand-in for Fredrik Tordendahl, so he plays live guitar with Meshuggah.
Why doesn't Fredrik Tordendahl play? I didn't know that.
I think he was just sick of it. He was fed up with playing live. I don't know. And it's not the last. Well, I haven't seen Per in such a long time now. I don't know if it's what's been said. I don't think it's forever. It's just like he's had a time out. He doesn't want to play live, so they found him, and he's such an amazing guitar player and such a lovely bloke as well.
You have to be a math professor and a musician to be able to play that shit. It's just retarded.
Yeah,
Holy
but I mean,
shit.
he is. Pat is a genius in so many ways. Like, yeah, it's really cool. So basically, he's been doing production and mixing as well. And when he's tracking drums for his own band, he comes here to track the drums. So it's been engineering for them, yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
It's a really cool band.
And is it because you had an interest for extreme music when you were younger? I mean, you started as an internship, and has your taste in music changed like over the years? Like what you listen to in your spare time or your free time at home?
That's a difficult one. No, I just think the proportions to what I'm listening to has changed. So it's always been everything, but then it's changed because when I was 16, no, when I was 14, I got into punk music, and then after that, I just wanted to be more. So I got into hardcore music because hardcore music was like punk, but even more aggressive.
What bands?
And then well, the punk music, that was sort of the trallpunk, digercore, Stukas.
Yes.
Yeah. Not the cool stuff.
But still so enjoyable. I still listen to it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So Stukas is one of when I listen to it now, it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
DLK is also amazing.
Yeah. So from that, it was a natural step to hardcore music, and I got really into hardcore. And then from there, I found Brutal Truth, Extreme Conditions, and that sort of changed my life. Wow, it can sound like this as well. How do they do it? I want to do this. And then from there on into black metal. I love Marduk. I love Dark Funeral, stuff like that. And then, but it's always been like folk music and jazz music on the side of that. I've always loved all sorts of music. But now I still love extreme music, and especially working with extreme music, because I love making those sounds. The production wise, it's in my heart. Yeah. But when I get home, I don't listen to it anymore because I'm never in the mood for it. Every once in a while there'll be a band I pick up on tour, like this is an amazing thing, I'll have to listen to it. I'll dive into it.
And me as a listener, I can really tell that you put your heart into to the production of extreme music.
Oh,
it's
thanks.
Just amazing, and I'm and just
thanks,
like I mean, I've been listening to albums that you have produced for maybe at least 10 years, and I can hear like huge difference from like 10 years back and now. And I'm gonna ask you like what would you have would you have done differently on
Which is your favorite compressor?
Yeah, exactly. but what would you have done differently?
What do you mean?
If we take like if we take the Great Destroyer for example, that's just that's just like four and a half year ago. What would you have done differently when you look back on that album today?
Oh wow, that is difficult to say.
Do you listen to it?
I don't listen to it. No, I listened to it a while ago when I bought a new compressor, software compressor, and I said I'd have to try this on something. So I opened up one of the sessions and I put it on. I thought, shit, oh, wow, I wish I had this when I mixed it. So yeah, I put the API 2500 compressor on the master bus then. that's what It'll change in a year or two, it'll be something else, but it's difficult to say. I think maybe I would have written the lyrics sooner, because it took a bloody year to write the lyrics. That was
okay. I need to specify this question. What would you have done differently, like sound wise, if you catch my drift? Like not the lyrics or.
Yeah. Okay. Specifically for the sound, I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't. If I pick it up, I'm bound to. I'm going to find things that I would like to change. But since it's ready, I don't want to go back. I don't dwell. I try not to listen to a mix or a master that's ready. When it's ready, I'll sort of put it aside. I won't play it until a long time further on. I'll pick it up again. And I'll listen to it and I'll think, okay, this could have been better, or I could have done it this way, or maybe this is actually better than I thought it was. That happens as well sometimes. I did the Human Cull band from Exeter in England. I tracked that and it felt okay when I mixed it and sent it off. It felt okay, and then I played it like 6 months later and I was like, okay, it's better than I remember it. I'm quite pleased with it. It's got something. There's a nerve in it. It's difficult because you lose. It's part of the job is losing perspective. You go into a project like that, you can't listen to it the way you're supposed to listen to it when you play it off of Spotify, because you're so into it that you can't. It takes a while to get perspective back.
I'm happy that I'm not in your line of work when I'm like playing in a band, because it's one thing to say like, oh, we should have written that line differently, we should have done this with this riff, like we should have changed that note, and you should have played the blast piece here and one beat here and so on. It's like the other dimension of it, that what you bring to the table in Gadget, and it's like the sound shape, the landscape of sounds. So you have the songs and you also have that to look back on. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like
absolutely, and absolutely, and also other music. Like I can't listen to music the same way. Sometimes I wish I could just turn it off, because you understand. Like sometimes I'll listen to records. I can't. But let's like this. I can't listen to music if it doesn't sound great. Like if it's a shitty recording, I can't play it. And I can't listen to it without analyzing the mix. I'm always analyzing how they tracked it and how it was mixed, which is sort of a kind of a shame. Are you like that with video? Do you watch videos and go, oh, why did they shoot it like that? Or why did they?
Yeah, but not in the same way that you do with music, because you work with it like every day. It's like when I look back, I mean, the only thing that I released on like for real, it was the Sherby DVD, for the Sherman movie. And I mean, when I look back at it,
Right,
of course I would have done things differently. That imagine if you would have created like your own full length the first year you had an internship. That was me. I just had to learn the software. I needed to learn, like, instead of Cubase, I learned Premiere.
Right.
It's like, now I know, like, you know, fast solutions, cool effects, like smooth transitions, and you know, all this.
Yeah.
So of course, I look back at it, but I really don't care.
Do you go back to old videos like you did a year ago and say, why did I edit it?
Yeah, I went back to the Gadget video for Svart Hole, and I mean, if I just knew what I could do in different programs, because that material, it was just, I mean, that was fucking crazy, you know. We recorded this shit. I mean, it's not shit. We recorded live with like
it's live takes.
Small China action cameras for like $30 each. I put up 4 of them, and I had my mobile phone, and like 2 months after, Relapse put it up on their YouTube site, and it looks, to me, it still looks like it looks like a DIY video, but it doesn't look.
That's cool.
It's like,
I mean, and that's how I feel about production as well. It's like some. I have to go back to what I said earlier about I can't listen to shitty production. I mean, it doesn't have to be Devin Townsend posh, modern sounding productions. It just has to sound. It needs to have that nerve. It needs to be. And some of the, I mean, Shit Lickers is one of the best productions in the world. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. And if somebody would have changed that and taken them to bloody Ocean Way Studios and spent a month tracking it, it would have been ruined. Like, it needs to sound exactly like that to be as it's supposed to be. I mean, the whole, you and I are in a style of music which is kind of based on mistakes. It's like it's supposed to be, it needs to have that nerve in it. But yeah, I think, and it's also like one of my philosophies as well. It's like if I'm mixing something, brutal music needs to feel lo-fi. Even if it sounds hi-fi, it needs to feel lo-fi. It needs to have that grit, a bit of dirt. And I think sometimes it turns out great when the band's tracking it in some shitty rehearsal studio in Brazil, and they send it to me, and I try to make it sound posh, and therefore we sort of end up in a perfect marriage of shit and great. Sometimes it works out perfectly.
I mean, that's the irony of it all, isn't it? Because many of the albums that I listen to, I like the shitty sound of it. It tells what era it comes from. And I also love, you know, mistakes in music. I find it funny. So, and we still try to have that concept in Birdflesh that the lyrics doesn't have to be like perfect align, simultaneous, and it doesn't have to be like that. So we just leave it and say we just gonna leave it here, and we're gonna send it to William, and it will sound amazing afterwards. It's always the same thing, and it's just pre-production bullshit. Still punk. Still grind, but it sounds just amazing when it comes out. It's just more. It isn't.
Well, then you know that coming out the other end is going to be this, but now it sounds off. But because you learn to tell when it's off, or when it's off, cool. Like if it was perfect, it would be boring. It needs to have that.
Where is it charming?
A little bit off is great. Yeah. It's like when we did the Arson project thing, when you went in with the guitar and we swapped the amp out, and it was just feedbacking constantly. And we did extra takes on all the guitars, with just lots of feedback in the stops and the breaks and the guitar breaks and all the noise, all that shit. So the actual takes were perfect, but then every time the guitar stops, you get a bit of noise, and that you don't need a lot of it, but you need it to make it sound dangerous in the room.
So William, I'm talking to this camera right now. William was the sound technician of the Orson Project's album Disgust, and also the one before, by the way, Blood and Locals. I wasn't part of the band at that time, but we fucking took the train from Malmö, Sweden, and I don't know, like 24 hours later on, we arrived in Gävle. Early morning, and your studio is like 50 meters from the train station, which is fucking perfect.
Yeah,
right I think we spent the street, 4 days, and I slept on that couch behind you. Yeah.
There you go.
It was 4 days. We did it all in 4 days, right?
Did we? It felt like it was longer, but maybe, yeah, you might be right.
I think I played like almost all songs, but then we suddenly said, no, fuck this, we're only gonna do downstrokes, and we did it again, and what a huge difference. So a great trick. It's not a trick, but always play downstrokes when you record, even if you're not capable to do it live.
When you can, always do downstrokes.
Because it's fucking hard to do it at a whole show, especially if you're gonna headbang and drink beer and
Yeah, and it doesn't really, But when you do an album, go all in, do everything you can to make it sound as great as possible, and everything makes a difference. Like even the pick or the strings, is important. Yeah.
If I would ask you, what's the best thing in your line of work?
Well, you get to work with magic. Music is bloody amazing like that. You can, I don't know, is it really a good job? I keep going back, why am I doing this? It's taking all of my time, it doesn't pay. What am I doing? But I still love it. I can't think of doing anything else, and it's been like this since I was 19 years old. This is what I want to do. So I keep going back to thinking, what am I doing sometimes? Like, why am my stress levels are way out of line. It's not good for me. I should just get a real job, a proper job, an ordinary job. But then I sort of, I'm just one of those guys that I need to do this. And I was talking to my boss at the theatre recently about live work, mixing live shows, because I do that as well. At the theatre and for my own company, mixing live shows around this region. Obviously not right now, but it's like he asked me, could you, which one do you prefer, like the live mixing or the studio? And I said, I don't know which one I prefer, but I can't see myself not having a studio. I can never see myself not doing this. But I can definitely see myself not doing live shows anymore, but I still love it. I still love that as well. But there's always going to be some kind of an audio production thing in my life, even if it's just a small home setup.
And do you prefer to just mix and master, or is it more enjoyable to have people in the studio, just hang around a couple of days, like getting to know them, like build a recording from start and up,
It depends on the project. I love doing lots of mix and mastering, but then every once in a while I really like doing production as well and having bands in. I just wish it was more bands booking like a week to do the tracking, and then maybe 3 days for the mixing at least. So more bigger projects, longer projects, and not having, because doing these weekend projects is fun, but it's not the same, because you haven't got time to go into the fine details of the actual production. You never have time to actually go through some different picks and try which pick is best for this song, or you can't spend 2 hours of trying amps out and see which amp is best. So when you have 2 days of tracking, you just need to get it done. I don't think it's not as fun as doing it properly.
Yeah.
So I love tracking. I love tracking drums. I could I could easily do more of that, tracking drums for bands, just engineering. I love engineering, but preferably 80% mix master, then 20% just recording, and preferably bigger projects.
So it would be a dream to create like the extreme metal version of the Black album, like 6 months. And it's like, you know, it's like every drum stroke or.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I would. No, I wouldn't like to do that.
Too much of the.
That would be
nerd
too
stuff.
much because yeah, I mean, for a grindcore band, an album, tracking for 1 week or 2 weeks is brilliant. But anything above that, it's bound. It's going to be trouble. You're going to start analysing things out of proportion and lose. I don't know.
But what label would pay for 2 weeks in the studio?
Roller, I don't know.
Yeah. God damn it. I guess that's the worst thing with playing in a genre of music where you don't sell like 50,000 copies. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's absolutely the worst thing that you have experienced in this studio? And I mean with that, like, it doesn't matter if it's a band or if it's equipment that suddenly started to burst into fire.
I accidentally, in the beginning it was a 2-inch tape machine, so 24 tracks, and I accidentally, I got 2 things. One of them is I was tracking a big project with a band from nearby, and we had done probably 4 songs or so, but then you had them on tape. So the tapes were in the bookcase, and I had a paper saying what was on the tape and what was on the channels. And I was tracking another band before it was ready. I was tracking another band and we were tracking, and then, oh shit, this is the wrong tape. And I'd overtracked the other band's one of their songs. So I had to call them up and say, I'm really sorry, but I fucked it up. I accidentally erased one of your songs. And that wasn't an easy call. I felt like such a shithead.
Oh,
yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. It's just irreversible. You can't fix it. Well, you could give them more time to redo the song, but they spent lots of time on it. So it wouldn't be the same. Well, in the end, it was fine, but it was just something I never wanted to do again. Like, never again.
Yeah.
Second thing would be when we tracked the Funeral March, the hard drive broke down after we'd done the drums and one of the 2 guitars. And this was one of those sessions where, I mean, we spent 2 weeks recording, probably. And then, the drums are gone and one of the guitars is gone. We're going to have to start over again. But we have the backup. There was a backup. And on that backup, we've got the drums, but not the guitars. It's not too bad. And then that one broke as well.
Oh no!
Yeah. I think it was because it was an external drive and it was standing up, and I think somehow I tipped it and it tipped over, and that's when it physically broke the disc. So that was gone. But then luckily, one of my good mates here in Gävle, a brilliant friend of mine, he's like a computer engineer, and he got this software. He figured out that it wasn't actually the first original drive which had the guitar and the drums. It wasn't, the disc wasn't broken, it was the file system was corrupt. So he did a copy onto a new drive, sector by like every bit by bit, and then he tried to fix the original one with software, and it worked. So we got everything back.
Oh, but it must have taken like a week or something. And
no, it was. I mean, once he figured it out, it was a day later, and it was done. It was fine.
All right.
But I mean,
just spending a couple of days with those nerves and just that thought of shit, all our work.
Yeah, it was horrific, absolute nightmare, dreadful. And the funny thing is that Emil wrote a lyric about what it felt like, which is Tingens förbannelse, the last track on the album. Really dark. It sounds really dark and gloomy. and somebody wrote me. It was Andreas from Passiv Dödshjälp.
Yeah.
He really liked the song, and he wrote me saying, "I've been listening to this song a lot, and I really like the lyrics. What is it? What is it about?" And I told him, "Well, it's about when the hard drive crashes on the computer." I couldn't believe it. Yeah, it doesn't sound like that when you listen to it. It sounds genuine darkness, but yeah.
That's like your in reference to Metallica. That's your Fade to Black.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Holy shit! And yeah, that's pretty shitty stuff. We
Yeah.
I have like one similar thing, but that isn't like that's self-inflicted. That's I got the drums for Extreme Graveyard Tornado sent to me.
Okay.
All the, I don't know, 24, 25 tracks, and I recorded both the guitars, and just waited in Jocke, and he was supposed to play the bass, and I think we recorded the bass as well, and then we just sent it to Adde, our drummer, and asked him what he thought, and he was like, "It's a little bit slow, this can't be right." So when I imported the files into Cubase,
It's 48.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's down to 44.1. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So it was a little bit too slow all the time.
Yeah.
So when I got
And it took you a while to figure out, right? It was
yeah.
like, it feels a bit weird, like something's not right.
But that's the backside of not rehearsing and not recording the drums together. So this time we recorded the drums together. But I mean, I thought I was finished with everything. I was like, yeah, finally vacation. So me and my girlfriend, we went to the worst Swedish festival, Sweden Rock. And nah, it's not the worst. It's okay. It's expensive. And suddenly I got this call from Adde, and I also spoke to the sound technician, I can't remember his name, and they were like, "You have to do it again." And I was like, just taking the vacation, just had a couple of beers,
Right.
and I had my party mode on, and it was such.
So you told your girlfriend, okay, that's you have to go back home.
Yeah.
I got important stuff to do.
Yeah, I've got work. Work just called. Need to get back to work.
Yeah, but I mean, no one would have cared if it was released 2 weeks later. It really doesn't matter. But all that time, because it's fucking boring to sit down and record.
It is.
Guitar and bass. It's nothing fun. The only fun thing about it is the company.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did that once actually with it was kind of a joke band, a local joke band, really brilliant band. But anyway, and we did a session where I had them, because back then we had a master clock, which would clock all the digital equipment. So Pro Tools was in 44.1, but that was on 48. So it was something weird happened. I couldn't reverse it. I couldn't go back. And in the end, they said, "Well, we kind of like it like this. It sounds like we're really on the piss. We're doing crunk or something." It was like, ooh. Yeah.
So
I think they kept it. I think they kept it. I don't think it wasn't released or anything. It was just like a demo. But yeah.
You just
Weird.
imagine to have done that to a doom metal band like I don't know,
Exactly.
like
That's the trick. That's how you do it.
yeah, like Electric Wizard. They would just
How
have
do you-
like yeah, exactly. How did you do that?
How do you get that sound? I can't tell you. It's a secret. Just slow it down.
Yeah.
Can I go and do a top up?
Yeah,
Can we
of
do a
course.
short break? Is that right?
Yeah, of course. What beer are you drinking?
This is Cookie Bitter. So it's one of my homebrews. It's the latest homebrew.
Yeah, you have won prizes because of this, right?
Yeah, a few. I have 1 silver. Is it 2 silvers and 1 bronze in the Swedish National Homebrewing Championship competition. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's amazing. Are you brewing it yourself or with a friend or?
No, just me in the kitchen. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. And you actually came down to Malmö for the Swedish championship of beer at the tap room.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they do it every year in a different city. Every other year is in Stockholm, and every other year is somewhere else. And it hasn't been. It's usually in a big city. So it was supposed to be in Gothenburg this year, but it was cancelled due to COVID. Malmö. When was it? It was a couple of years ago.
It must have been 3. Yeah, I think so.
Something like that. Yeah. And did we meet at the tap room? I can't remember.
No, I wasn't there. I can't remember what I did, but it wasn't on my schedule.
No.
And when we are talking about big cities in Sweden, just have in mind that Stockholm is 1 million. I think Gothenburg is like 700,000 people, and Malmö is 400,000 people, and that's those three mentioned are the 3 biggest cities in Sweden, I think.
Right.
So Malmö feels small, but it's big for.
Yeah, it seems big to me. Yeah.
Yeah, like Gävle.
Yeah, like 100,000.
Yeah.
100. Yeah.
But I mean, still, that's a big city for being Sweden. I mean, I grew up in places.
It's a small country. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the Arson project, Oskarshamn is the town name. I think we were like 20,000 people, and we went to like the neighbor town with twice as much, and we felt like we were in the capital.
Right. And also, like in Sweden, everything's so spread out. There's so much area. It's like in England. I mean, where I used to live in England was Nailsworth. That's 5,000 people, but Nailsworth is right next door to the next little place.
Yeah.
So you've got loads of people, but all these little places packed together. So it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many years did you spend in England?
Well, we lived there for 1 year.
For 1 year.
Yeah, it was only 1 year.
Yeah. A lot of shepherd's pie and a pint, sir. I don't know what a half pint.
Quite a lot of pints, yeah. Quite a lot of beer, a lot of pubs. That's why I started brewing in the first place, because when we moved back to Sweden, you can't really get the beer over here. So I just took up brewing so that I can make it myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a culture heritage.
Yeah, and it's also like, cause it's a different style of beer, definitely different. And the way they serve it in the pubs, because you've got the hand pumps, and the cask system is based on, like here, if you go to the pub in Sweden, you've got CO2 pushing out the beer, but then in England you've got a cask which is open, so you've got air coming in and it oxidizes the beer, and it's not the same carbon dioxide levels, it doesn't have the same fizz, it's a bit warmer, it's just a completely different thing. And especially with the hand pump, you get some agitation, and it changes how you perceive the beer. So I got all that now at home. I don't set it up because it goes off. So if you open up a Firkin cask is 41 litres or something. And if you open it up and you start pulling out a pint, you pour out a pint, you pour in a pint of air. So it'll go stale quite quickly. Like if you don't drink it all in 2 days, it's going to go off.
Ah, okay. The whole 41 liters, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
it goes bad because it oxidizes. So the dream setup, I'm going to have that one day. I'm going to have that in the kitchen, a hand pump, and then connect it to you can get special connections. I've got one of those where you pump in CO2 and it makes it last a little bit longer. But it's not ideal. It's very complicated and tricky. It takes up a lot of space. But the dream setup is definitely to have like a real Angram hand pump in the kitchen. I got the kit. I just need to redo the kitchen. That's all. Make like a little fridge, a special fridge for it. So
I remember when we recorded, discussed, like the 3rd or 4th day, you came up with Flak. I don't know, like 24 beers, something like that, with your homemade brew.
Okay, cool.
Really, really awesome. We all enjoyed it.
Was it okay? You can say if it wasn't.
Yeah. It was great. It was really, really
Cool,
great.
cool.
And we tried to find a way to give back the favor. I think we bought you.
You gave me a big case of beer. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great. That was lovely. It happens every once in a while. There's a band who gives me beer. It just warms my heart. I love it. It's such a nice gesture.
Yeah. Ditto. I mean, getting something that you have like created yourself, it's a little bit more special, you know.
Yeah.
But
and then the other aspect is like the beer in England is weaker as well. Like this is 3.8%, which I prefer as well. Yeah, just I love drinking a lot of beer. I don't like getting drunk.
Yeah.
So
I said
beer is perfect.
I said it before and I say it again, just to the viewers. I always drink 2.8ers, and I mean, Swedish kids, Swedish punks. We were born and raised on this, you know. More or less, like 2.8, 3.5s, but the 2.8s, I guess you had to be like 16 from the beginning to buy them, and the 3.5ers you had to be 18. So the solution was homemade and 2.8ers.
Right.
They just give you a small buzz, but it's a good buzz.
Yeah, you can drink lots. That's great.
Yeah, for sure. It just depends how fast you drink them.
Yeah.
How much would you like to piss?
Exactly. That's the thing, isn't it?
When if we get back to your studio, and what would you say is your 3 favorite albums that came out of your studio? And I don't mean like music wise. I mean sound production wise. But you can also mention the 3 like song wise.
The 3 best recordings that I've done up here.
Yeah, that you are the most proud of.
Most proud of. Oh shit, that's difficult. Stuka Party is definitely number 1 on that list.
Huh?
I am really proud of that because it was. I'm proud of the production. I'm really pleased about how we made the samples work with the music. Apart from that, did you mean like sound only how it sounds, or do you mean like the project how it sounds? Oh shit! I like the new one of the quite recent. I say quite recent. It was quite a while ago, but how do you pronounce it? Kalia.
Yeah,
it's an American Kalia.
Yeah,
I think that one came out pretty well. I'm quite pleased with that. When I listened back to it not too long ago, I thought, well, this is pretty good. Did you say 3? I think I'm still pretty pleased. This is going to be my own bands, but yeah, the latest Gadget record as well. The Great Story. I'm still quite pleased with that. There's bound to be others that I'm probably quite pleased with, but maybe not as much, or maybe I've not been given the time that I needed to make it perfect. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is really difficult, very hard to say.
Yeah, but I mean it's pretty natural to say Stuka Party and Gadget as one of those 2 because you had infinite amount of time to actually
do
it. So I really get it from that perspective.
Yeah, and every project is sort of when you look back at it, you have to put in perspective that you had this amount of time, and this is what if it's a mix, it depends on how it was recorded and what the files you got. If the files were great, then it's easier to make a good job mixing it. So it's always that aspect as well. Sometimes I'll be really pleased with what I could do with it. Even if it wasn't perfect coming in, I made it a lot better. Like it turned out pretty good. But when it's me recording, it's all up to me to make it sound. I was really pleased with Disgust as well, actually. I thought that one came out, the Arson Project album.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to it in a long time, but last I did, I thought I'm pretty pleased with it. I think it sounds really good.
We were totally blown away, because when we were recording the lyrics, we just had like the first or second mix of it, and Niklas, what I talked about in Birdflesh, when we are like recording the lyrics, and everything isn't exactly the way that we want it, but we know when it's enough. So when we send it away, we know that it will sound amazing when it comes back. But Niklas, when he was like recording the vocals, I think he had in mind, he listened to the music compared to his vocals unmixed, and we just had to do it again and again and again. So we spent like a couple of days in my apartment just record the vocals. That's the only thing that we didn't record in Overlook. Yeah, and that was a big problem in my opinion. But when we sent it away and we got the third mix, the fourth mix, and I mean at the end, we just couldn't believe what you have done. It was just amazing.
Brilliant! Thanks.
I'm so happy.
Cool.
I'm really, really happy with that album.
That's cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
It's a great album. Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's always like what you have to put in perspective, like I said, like what you put in. If sometimes you'll make a recording session over 2 days and you'll mix it in 1 day because that's the budget you get. And it's not going to be anywhere near perfect. But maybe it sounds really cool. It's got the right nerve, the right vibe to it. So you'll be really pleased and feel like, well, we did a great job. It sounds the best it could with the 3 days we had. Yeah. So that's always an aspect.
Yeah, but we also had but really had a couple of days, and you had also a pretty good amount of time of doing the mixing work.
Yeah, it helps. Definitely helps. Yeah. I was gonna say this Gift is a Curse album. I was really pleased with that for a long time when it came out. Now I played it back and I thought it's a bit too MIDI. It's got too much mid-range. I would have done it differently now. But I was really proud of it for that year when it came out. I thought, yeah, it turned out good. Yeah. Now I'm not sure anymore.
That's the one with All Hail the Swine Lord on it, right?
I don't know. Isn't that the album before this one?
I just have to back catalog this.
I should know. I'm clueless. I should really know. I don't pay attention to the lyrics or the song titles when I'm working on it. So,
what was the funniest bands that you had the greatest time with in your studio? I mean, you're a professional. You don't get stupid drunk when you're recording. But I guess sometime in your life you must have done it. So I mean, don't think of the outcome. Think of the good times.
Well, it's like when I was tracking with Hybrid Freak Division, a local fusion band. They're my mates. They're my best friends here locally. It's Pelle's other band.
Yeah. Okay.
So I mean, you can't. I was just sitting down then. I never get pissed in the studio, but you'll have an occasional pint every once in a while, if it's at a good time in the production schedule where you can actually. It doesn't matter if I have a pint or two, I will have one. But just sitting down, having a pint, and just tracking because everything was set up, and just thinking I'm hanging out with some of my best friends and having a pint and just listening to this great music that they're playing, and this is my job. It's unbelievable. So that's unbeatable. But apart from that, I don't know. I don't know.
I can't compare it to when I'm sitting and shotting vodka and doing customer service. No.
exactly.
That's a lie. Holy shit. What has been the most challenging band? I mean, sound-wise and also personality-wise. I mean,
Well, I was gonna
I know that I can be a bastard sometimes and be the
not a bastard.
no, but I can be pretty much
intense.
Intense. There we have it.
Lots of energy. Well, that's good. I wish I had lots of energy, but I was gonna say I've been doing these projects with a guy called Torkel Knutsson, who's a brilliant bloke. Really, he's also become a good friend, and this has been going out throughout this year. Been really busy with this project, and we are literally producing, almost like making the songs in the studio, and mixing and tracking and producing all at the same time, 3 albums at the same time.
Oh.
And it's been a real challenge, because I'm a bit of a control freak and I like things where it's organized. It's just how I am. I like it organized and under control. I want to. But in this case, it's become really difficult and really challenging for me when they sort of decide after a month that, oh, by the way, these 2 songs are probably going to be on that album instead. So, okay. And now we've got 2 or 3 versions of that song, because we're going to use that song on 2 records. We're not sure which ones out of these 3 or which album they're going to be on, and then also doing the vocals and writing lyrics and then redoing the vocals because the vocals weren't great enough, and writing new lyrics and adding more instruments and just rearranging the whole song. Just cut out that chorus there and try and make it shorter so we can fit it onto that album. It's been crazy. Like literally very, very crazy, but also great, and it's super challenging and very rewarding as well. When it in the end it comes out great, and it's like, well, I think one of these albums is ready to be mastered, and we're going to do that any day. And the other album is kind of finished, but it needs, that's also just mastering, and then it'll be ready. And the third one is still a work in progress.
I picture something like Frank Zappa when you're explaining this to me.
Well, yeah, but it's kind of the opposite, because Torkel he's a film director. He makes movies, and he used to play in a punk band called Stordess.
Okay.
Back in the days, one of the first sort of punk bands out of Stockholm, a long time ago. And so he's been involved in the punk scene, and he loves music. He understands music, but he doesn't know how to play an instrument. He's not really a singer. He's not really a musician. So he can tell you that this doesn't sound cool. We need to make it sound more cool. How can we make it sound more like a Stooges kind of guitar song? But he couldn't say that's out of key, or that thing sounds weird. He couldn't pick out things like that. So it's very interesting to work with somebody like that who's completely opposite. He's not really a musician in that sense.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but more or less you were a little bit a part of the songwriting here as well. Do I understand this right?
Well, more on a production aspect. I would come with ideas, and I would probably say, can we do percussion on this song, because I think it needs percussion, and then I would record that. I might say, I think we could do with another guitar on this track, so is it okay if I do that? Because he's in Stockholm and the band's all spread out. It's not really a band, it's just musicians playing on this. There's 2 or 3 guys that are on all albums, but then there's other people involved in all the 3 different albums as well. So I would add, like, if I feel like this bass isn't working anymore, I would redo the bass on a few of the songs, or add some extra guitars, but more from a production aspect, not really as the guitar player, just adding things.
I'm thinking of. I really love this album. The Yellow Submarine with the Beatles. The B side of the album.
Yeah.
I listen to it just as much as the A side, but the B side is the sound technician's own version of Beatles songs, but with like an orchestra. But it does it with like Beatles melodies coming in here and there on flute and on. It's just amazing. Do you feel like do you feel like that sometimes? Like
I want to redo the album and make my mix of it. And
you should do this, and it isn't.
Well, sometimes, but sometimes you're just the engineer or you're just the mixer, and then you think, well, I wish I was in the band, or I wish I could do it my way. Absolutely, but to actually put in those hours and actually do it, I haven't got the time or the energy on any, because it's always full on here. So maybe if I only did one project a year, then maybe I would like to do that. Yeah, it would be interesting.
We should do a split.
Yeah. I do your songs, you do my songs. That'd be kind of cool. That'd be really interesting, actually. Yeah.
What a concept! It's like, how did you play that riff?
That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Two bands playing each other's songs.
But then you should release like the original split and the split vice versa.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly.
Amazing idea.
Double split.
For the Birdflesh fans out there, what was the most challenging and what was the most fun part? When did you like have a laugh when doing the mix and master of the upcoming EP?
Oh, the one that we just did, the mix. Yeah. I thought it is really. That's another one of those moments when you realize this is my job now, is to listen to this amazing music and just laughing at the lyrics constantly because it's brilliant, really funny. But then also I think the challenge is with you guys, it needs to, that's what I was mentioning earlier, it needs to sound a bit raw and a bit old school, and it needs to have that vibe. But I also want it to feel like it sounds modern and fat, and if you play it on a expensive hi-fi system, you want to turn the volume up because it sounds great as well. That's the challenge, to balance those things. It needs to sound just the perfect amount of shitty. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So you can't zoom in too much and sort of make everything sound perfect. You need to take a step back and go, wow, that sounds cool. But then your brain starts to think, well, can I make it better? Like, don't. Just leave it because it's cool.
Yeah.
That's the challenge. Yeah.
In my opinion, like the outcome of this EP that they're coming out, I can't name it yet. Have you seen the artwork for it?
Yeah, you sent me a picture. Yeah. That's cool.
You're in it. You saw it,
right?
right?
I know. Yeah.
But in my opinion, I mean, maybe not song wise, but I haven't really reflected on that. But sound wise, I'm much more happier with the EP than the full length Extreme Graveyard Tornado. So I'm really looking forward to send you the.
I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be great. Yeah.
And
Can't wait.
And I actually sent you. I sent you the drums yesterday.
I have it. Yeah, I haven't listened to it yet. I don't know, but it's probably brilliant. It's going to be great. Yeah.
It's hard. Drums doesn't speak for themselves in the same way a guitar can, I guess.
You need the lyrics. Yeah.
Yeah, of course you need the lyrics. The stupidness, the crazy parts. Awesome. William, thank you very much for taking this time with me. I know that you're a busy man, a father, a hard-working man, 150%, I really enjoyed spending this time with you, having a beer and a laugh. And
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, this is the closest thing I've come to having a pint with a friend in a long time. It's just, I can't go to the pub anymore. So this is great.
And
what time is it? Oh yeah,
this like afternoon, but
it's time to go home and make some food.
Yeah.
It's pitch black outside.
Yeah, it's actually here too. You get
Right.
pitch black like an hour before us. It's I don't know, like Gävle, Malmö, maybe it's 1,200 kilometers, something like that. Swedish kilometers.
Yeah.
So it's like spending like over a day to get from your place to mine.
It's a bit of a travel, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So
thank you, man. It's been great.
Ditto. And to the listeners, I guess we have to say insert jingle here.
Wheelmust, we're coming to get you.